Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the Pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
I've got to hit you with the triple hey there. How's everybody doing? 3 shows in 3 nights, and I'm probably breaking the mold here, and everybody's asking, what the hell am I doing? In the midst of basketball season, I wanted to talk football, especially, with the hiring of new coach Jason Eka, who I'm very excited about. No Mike Loxley. My name's Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live. I'm flying solo tonight. No Ed, no lesser half Nick Nunez, no Rick. No Eric maybe might join us. No Jacob Neff, but Neff and I will be in Vegas for the Mountain West Conference tournament. Before we get to our special guests, I'm gonna give the lineup. Joining me in a few minutes. I'm very excited to talk to this young man, linebacker for UNM, Dimitri Johnson. Very, very excited for that. 8:30. Maybe just as important as Jeff Grammer, Sean Reider from the Albuquerque Journal, covers UNM football. So nothing like late February, early March, action-packed football. Failing as a comedian right now. I want to thank those that make this show possible. Dulce River Bakery and Coffee, Affordable Solar, Turquoise Desert Tap Room, Tim Baca Sr., Tim Baca Jr. over at Hydro Bar, and of course, Affordable Service, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning for your HVAC needs in the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area. Affordable Service has been in business in New Mexico since 1986, and it is still locally owned. During that time, they've served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services, including heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Affordable Service takes pride in its staff and its commitment to the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area. All right, I get to hit this cool transition. All right, straight to football. UNM football joining the show tonight. And let me cue this up as I have to produce and host by myself, so I look like a schmuck. Joining the show tonight, he's a linebacker for the University of New Mexico football team. He enters his 3rd season. He's a super senior this year with the Lobos. 2023, he had 77 tackles, 31 solo, 2 sacks. And maybe, I don't know, he can tell me different, and maybe some of his teammates that are still on the team can tell me different. I would disagree. 1 interception that sealed a victory in the 50-45 come-from-behind win at Utah State. Before UNM, he played at Santa Rosa Junior College, where you're an All-American, All-Conference, All-State honors, and team MVP for the best nickname ever, the Bear Cubs. In 2022, that was his 2022 sophomore season, he recorded 62 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown and fumble recovery. I can't even do that on EA College Football. He hails from Roanhurt Park, California, and Rancho Cotote High School. I hope I said those right. I know that's quite an introduction. I like to do that for my guests when they come on. His name is Dimitri Johnson. Dimitri, how are you doing? Thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday night to join us here on the Pit Press.
Always, yeah. Thanks so much for having me on here.
I asked Gabe Lopez and not Ben Wysong, Ben, I know you're watching, Luke Wysong back in Vegas in media days. You opted to be an EA College Football 25. I'm showing my age because I played it like it was going out of style like 15, 16 years ago. It was maybe next to Grand Theft Auto, my favorite game to get, or any of the Grand Theft Autos. But was it cool to see your name, image, and likeness in the game this year?
Of course, it's just a very interesting experience. Never thought I would have the opportunity to be into like a game like that. So being in that kind of situation is definitely unique, and I'm very grateful for that kind of opportunity.
You've been with UNM for the last 2 years, 2 coaching changes, 3 different coaches, I guess, per se. Is that a unique experience to be a part of?
Yeah, it's definitely something different. Never thought I would have been a part of that kind of situation, but that's the circumstance that I chose to be in, and I'm still here, and I'm loving every part of it.
I appreciate that answer because it leads into my next question. You have now stuck around. You're on the roster with new head football coach Jason Eck. I think you guys have obviously had some team meetings. Have you met with him one-on-one? And did he have a kind of an impact with you staying in Albuquerque? Could you talk us through that, or how did you end up playing here this for this upcoming season?
Yeah, when I figured out that I had another season, the first conversation I had was with Coach Eck, and it was a great conversation. That's what really helped me sway to come back here another year and just really enjoy the conversations. And he gave me some other players that he was bringing here at the time, just to see how his coaching style was, and I thought that was great because I heard all great things from all the other players that he brought here as well.
Are you already talking trash to him, being that he's an offensive lineman and you're a defensive guy?
Nah, I'm never going to talk trash to my coach, but I'm just doing my own thing. If he wants to support the offense, that's great, and I'll support the defense, and we'll clash, as we should. It's just a bunch of competition that always happens, and I gotta love it. This is what keeps me going in the sport.
That was a terrible question on my part. I was trying to get a little bit more out of you. Speaking of offense, and I will get to defensive questions, and as I tell all my guests, look, you're looking at a New York Football Giants fan. I've seen 2 Super Bowl runs. Once again, one was almost 20 years ago, and the other one was almost 15 years ago. Starting to show my age again, basically based off the defense. I love defense. I'm a big defensive lineman guy. I'm going to start naming Carl Banks, Jesse Armstead, all the guys that played for the Giants. So I do love the linebacking position. I got to ask about Devin Dampier and Eli Sanders. I know those guys are gone. Luke Wysong, but how dynamic was that offense to watch from the sideline this year? How special were they in 2024?
They were great to watch. Just knowing that we had an offense that was very explosive. It was nice to see, but they're gone. We got some new good guys that are very explosive and very unique. So I can't wait to see what our new offense can do.
How did you find yourself at UNM 3 years ago, coming from Santa Rosa Community College? How did that process happen? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it was a very interesting situation, but right, I think it was New Year's Eve. The old linebacker coach, Coach Roth, hit me up to come on an official visit. And so I came on a visit, loved it here, committed when I went on my visit, and I was here probably the next weekend after my visit. So it was very brief, a quick turnaround, and honestly, I don't regret it at all.
What do you like most about Albuquerque?
It depends. You guys have some good food here. You guys have some really good food. The people here, it's just a very welcoming atmosphere as well. So I love seeing all the people at the games, and so yeah, those are probably the 2 biggest things that I really love about here too.
I appreciate that answer. I am, for the listeners that are cued in, and the other guys that host with me don't have to listen to this. I'm born and raised here, but I got New Jersey, New York roots, and I still wouldn't trade New Mexican food for and I'm not Italian, but I love Italian food. Pizza out there is the best. But yeah, this gringo would not trade red or green chili. What is it about playing defense that you appreciate? What is it about playing linebacker that you appreciate, maybe gets you fired up? What do you love about it?
I just love the contact. I'm a big physical type of guy, and I just love being able to make a big play on defense, and it's very different from making a play on offense, because I feel like offense plays are very easier to come by, and defense plays, when you make a big play, it's a big turnaround. I feel like it really can change the momentum of the whole game. So that's why I chose the defense. Also, I played a lot of linebacker growing up, and that's the only position that I was like really confident at. On the opposite side, I was very wishy-washy, so I just kept on the defensive side.
Is there anybody that you loved watching growing up that played on the defensive side of the ball, or a linebacker, or anybody that you try to imitate in the pros these days?
Growing up, I used to be a big Navarro Bowman fan just because I grew up in the Northern California and it was very close to San Francisco. But these days, I really watch Fred Warner, also a great 49er and one of the best linebackers. So I try to not emulate, but like try to get kind of close, but still keep it my own, style.
Yeah, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
About, I don't know, a decade ago, those guys were good. And Fred Warner is a lot of fun to watch. And I figured I was going to hit on that, you being a Northern California guy, big Northern California sports fan.
Absolutely. I would just say more football. I'm not a big baseball fan, even though I wear a bunch of baseball hats, but not a big baseball fan. I do like watching a little bit of lacrosse, but that's something unique.
No, that you don't hear that. I don't know. I could be wrong. It's more like an East Coast thing. You don't hear many once you get more west in the west of the Mississippi. I don't know what Northern California, if it's big, lacrosse is big there, but that's a unique answer. You don't hear that all that often. I appreciate that. Just once again, you don't hear that all that often. I have to ask now about the interception at Utah State. What did you see on the play? What was going through your mind? And it just felt like it was kind of a breakout moment for the defense in 2024.
Yeah, the play was just a shallow with something right behind it, and the play before that they tried to hit the shallow and the guy dropped it. So I knew they were going to try to get us by on that same route again. So I made sure to keep my depth, and luckily the quarterback was staring down the receiver pretty hard. So I just got lucky, and I was able to make a good play for my team to help win that game. So very happy about that.
In that kind of game, you guys rally back. You're on the road. How much of adversity is that to do that? I mean, is that you want to win the game regardless, but is that more of a cherished win when you come from behind on the road like that?
Of course, people will doubt once you get down, and we don't have that kind of mindset here. We know there's games going to be down, but we're always going to fight back. There's not going to be a game where we just lay down. So we always had that mentality of, yeah, we may be the underdogs in most games we go in, but we're going to give a fight, and we're not going to care who thinks we don't have a chance. So
I will appreciate that immensely too. I'm sticking with the ages jokes, like 20 years ago. I'm sure you've heard the name Rocky Long. And Ben Wysong. Ben, dude, I'm talking to the air now. If you're watching, I don't know. I should have asked you to come on tonight. Luke Wysong's uncle, he played linebacker and Lobo back, and he joins us to break down some Lobo games. I should have bugged him to see if he was joining tonight. My bad, because I'm sure he would have appreciated it. 20 years ago, man. Yeah. Lobo defense, Rocky Long. It was smash mouth, punch you in the face. I'm sure you learned that with Danny and what that was like. So appreciate hearing that. Kind of another adversity question. In 2024, you guys start 0-4, that Montana State loss, not to bring up bad memories, but then you guys flipped it around and you won. You get your win against New Mexico State. You go down there, you beat their behind. Then you win 3 in a row. And it capped off with that Utah State game. And then you won 5 of your last 8. And it felt almost like a tale of 2 seasons. But what was the locker room like when the wins started piling? What was the confidence like in the locker room?
Yeah, the confidence grew. It was great to see that that people's egos weren't going to be more like bigger, when people lose, people start pointing fingers at us, and we didn't point fingers at each other. We just knew we had to fix our mistakes, because most games we were like 1 or 2 mistakes away from a win, especially in those first 4 games. And so we just kept rallying back, and it was great to see. And the energy just kept growing as well with every win we got.
Well, it was. I will get to the Washington State game. My business partner Eric Malton couldn't join me tonight, but he threw in a question for you. How big of an adjustment was it going from JUCO football to the ranks of D1?
It's definitely a big jump. It definitely helped prepare me, because I know there's some people that have a big issue from going from high school straight to the Division I, and it definitely helped me prepare for the type of encouragement, and like just everything else. And it was a big jump, but I was able to have good coaches to help me walk through, especially the playbook. And it was very helpful for a lot of players to step in and coaches step in to help me through this that transition.
I have to ask, I forgot who we had on the show that was a JUCO transfer. Did you watch any of Last Chance U?
I watched all the seasons. I was a big fan of that growing up, and I knew that that was a possibility for me just because I was now highly recruited out of high school. So I just kept watching that, and I was a big fan of it. Hopefully I was going to be on it, but it stopped. I believe it stopped right before COVID, and I was a 2021 grad, so I knew that was not going to come back.
I believe it was Bobby Arnold. He played for, if I had the name right, the cornerback this year. He played for Dodge City, which played Independence, which was Coach Jason Brown. I'm trying to remain, especially when I have a guest, I try to remain more PG. But Jason Brown, some of the stuff, some of the stuff cracked me up. I guess I mean, I have to ask you this: what is the highlight of your year? Is it the interception? Is it beating Washington State, or is there something else?
I would just say the Washington State game. The interception was absolutely phenomenal to experience it and be a part of that. But the Washington State game, we were like, I think we were supposed to lose by like 21 points, and to be able to fight back again. We were down in that game early, and then we fought our way back, and then beat a ranked opponent, which hasn't happened in so many years here. And so, being a part of that kind of history it's life changing.
So I love college football. It's like 1A, 1B, and since you haven't heard this joke, I get the love of college football from my mom. And I was telling George Scott, who joins us, played basketball in the 80s. My mom loves college football. My dad was a nerd. My mom, I guess, saved him from nerddom. I'm a whopping 5'8" and like 160, and I've gained weight since I've gotten older. So this is like a fat version of me. My mom thought she was giving birth to an offensive lineman. That didn't happen. I was a hack of a second baseman, then became a Reider. So and then cracking bad jokes on a company I own. But anyway, big college football fan in this house. And where I was going with that is, I kind of kicked myself for not being at the Washington State game because I was on the East Coast for the St. John's UNM game in Madison Square Garden. The Knicks fan that I am, I got family in New Jersey. I've traveled a little bit with you guys. I've traveled a little bit with the basketball team covering them, and I just got on the train and I fell asleep during the game like an idiot. And then I had money on BYU and they screwed me, and I woke up and you guys won. I missed that. I lost money on BYU. I don't need to tell you my whole life story, but it was like I woke up at like 3:30 a.m. Eastern and I had to be on a 7 a.m. train. And I was like dragging so much ass, but it was very cool to see you guys win and come back. And I can remember the last win against a ranked team, and it was very, very cool. Once again, to deter from my life story, what do you know about any of the new transfers? I believe it's 51 coming in. Have you met a Scott Trey Humphrey, running back, Montana State? And then obviously I'm sure the name that's been thrown around a lot is Jackson Eck, I think defensive player of the year in the Big Sky. And of course, Jason Eck's son. Have you met any of these guys? And can you compliment on them, or have there been any other transfers that you've met that you're impressed or happy they're on the team?
Oh, yeah, I met a couple. Still trying to get to know all of them again. 51 guys and very big team, so I'm still trying to get to know them. But the two guys you mentioned, Jackson and Scotty, both great guys, both super hardworking. Scotty just got in here like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. But I've seen him. He's putting down a lot of work lately, and so is Jax. He's coming back from an injury right now, but it doesn't even look like he's coming back from an injury. He's just working and grinding. He's there before anyone is, and he's leaving super late too. And it's just great to see that these new guys don't have a mentality of, oh, it's going to be given to me. They're both working super hard, so that's great to see. And there's plenty of other guys who are just like that too that I've also met, and it's great to see that we have a good group of guys coming in that are saying that we're going to work and we're going to get better and we're going to win this year.
Like to hear that. Going back to the comments real quick, or a question. Can you talk about the team is coming together prior to the spring season starting? What's the team chemistry like? I understand it's very, very new. I don't know if, Eric, I'm going to give you crap for that one. I don't know if team chemistry is a great question, but I mean, how is it coming together? if you can answer that question here, I'll put it back up for you. My bad.
Yeah, so we're coming together slowly. We're making more bonds on and off the field, in a locker room. Like we're making conversations happen here. Again, 51 new guys. You're not going to get to know them all in one day. So slowly but surely, our chemistry is definitely growing. And then once we hit the field, that's when our real chemistry is going to see what happens. So once we first day of spring ball happens, we'll see. And I can't wait to see what happens. To be honest,
the spring practices are open to the public. I think what Coach Jason Eck has done to try to get, I think, a lot more eyes. You see probably what happens across the street at the basketball stadium. Again, I've been in that stadium. Eric, all the other guys here, we've been in that stadium when it's sold out, the football stadium, and you can't walk to the concourse. You can't go to the bathroom. I've been there for that. I would love to see you experience that. But are you excited with how much exposure maybe Coach Eck is trying to get the program?
of course, yeah. Any exposure is great exposure for us. I know we're definitely a smaller FBS school, and a lot of people don't even know where we are half the time. And so having this kind of exposure that Coach X bringing to the program is great to see, because I want to see our stadium packed out this year. We got a couple games that had good crowds last year, but I think Coach X bringing a type of energy that's gonna be change. That's gonna change this whole program.
I've been at a wedding on the East Coast where I had to explain to them that I voted for President of the United States. So it happens. What else was I going to ask? And I forgot. There we go. Final question before you can log off of this terrible comedic half hour, and I'll let you get back to your Tuesday night. You look at the schedule, man. This past year you were at Auburn. You know, U of A is not traditionally a football school, although that's a big stadium. They're doing a lot of renovations there. You've played at Auburn. You've been at Texas A&M. You look at this year's schedule. I know it's only February. The Rose Bowl, you go to the Big House. You got to go to UNLV. You go to Boise State again. I know, throwing that word out there, challenge. I'm sure you like the challenge. Not to get ahead of myself, but you look at that schedule and you see some of the opponents. Is there excitement brewing?
Of course, there's excitement brewing. You get just new places to be. The publicity that comes with it. I can't wait for it to be on this year. Yeah, I've been to those places, but this the season that we got coming up, I think is going to be something special. Last year we were close to a bowl game, but the type of chemistry we got and the coaches that we brought in, I really can't wait to see what happens and where it happens, to be honest, because we could have a great game any here in New Mexico or somewhere super far away. So I can't wait.
We talked, I'm trying to think who we talked to in the fall practices. Somebody had mentioned, I want to be here and I want to get this thing turned around, and it would mean something to me to get UNM football rolling again. Would that mean something to you if you can, get this thing jump started and help, Jason Eck, turn this thing into a winning football program?
Of course. Again, I've been here for 2 years now. I'm obviously dedicated. I'm still here. A lot of people will do 1 year and then try to get out, but I felt like we have something brewing this year, and I can see it start from the top with Coach Eck to all the people he brought in with all the other transfers. So I really just can't wait, to be honest. I got a lot of excitement for this year.
I have seen some ups in Lobo football and some downs, and I have to say, I try to remain objective on this show. I am incredibly excited for this year. I just think Jason Eck has brought a brand new, aura of excitement. So I can't wait. And you know what, dude? I did you a disservice. I'm so sorry. I meant to do this earlier. Here you go.
But you got to find Royal if you're the Aggies. He's at the top of the screen there.
And that is picked off. Dimitri Johnson and the Lobos are going to find a way to win their third straight.
I meant to do that earlier, and I forgot. I'm sorry. I purposely clipped that sound clip for you. He is heading into his super senior year as a linebacker with the University of New Mexico football team. I'm going to say it again. Sorry for putting up for my bad jokes. Secondly, thank you so much for your time tonight. Hopefully we can bug you over the summer, maybe spring practice, maybe over the football season. But I want to thank you for joining us for 30 minutes tonight, Dimitri Johnson. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. Anytime. I'll be here.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck to you this season.
Thank you too.
All right, that was Dimitri Johnson, super senior linebacker. I almost said like super soaker. I don't know. I can't talk. You're going to give me crap. I can't talk, can't read. Thank God I'm going to write something tonight. I appreciate that. I thought that was a good conversation. Seems like a smart kid. There's enthusiasm. He stuck around during 2 years of, I don't know, up and down football. So mostly probably down. By the way, I wanted to bring this up. Greg Lujan, thank you. When is the spring game? And let me remove this. Great show. Great hosting of show. Here it is. I don't know where this was. I've looked for it. Somebody sent this to me. This is the 2025 New Mexico football spring practice dates. March 11th, 13th, 14th, 25th, 27th, 29th. I believe it's 15 days. April 1st, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 10th, 12th, 15th, and 17th. And then Friday, April 18th is the spring game. All of these are open to the public, which I think is completely awesome. I want to try to say something new, but man, I am so enthusiastic for Lobo football this year. We've had Jason Eck on. This will be on YouTube afterwards. That was Dimitri Johnson, super senior linebacker. We're going to keep the football theme rolling here. When we come back, Mr. Sean Reider from the Albuquerque Journal, Jeff Grammer's better half. I don't know. I don't know. That was a bad joke. Or is Jeff Grammer the better half of those two? Don't know. My name's Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live. We'll be right back with Sean Reider.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
All right, welcome back to the Pit Press Live. My name is Ryan Tamori, and obviously a little bit more comfortable now. Putting too much pressure on myself to do a interview with a Division I football player. Another bad joke. Hey, all right, we'll get right to it. Keeping the football train rolling. He's the beat writer for the UNM football team at the Albuquerque Journal. And I'll give him stats, much like Dimitri Johnson. He's heading into his third spring football game with the Albuquerque Journal. And he hails from Michigan State University. His name is Mr. Sean Reider. Sean, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Enjoyed the interview with Dimitri.
You know, I always appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. And this is going to be a little bit of, I guess, journalism kiss ass, but it's true. I read your feature on Jason Eck, and as many people, I think, sports fan have in this city. Phenomenal piece, man. Really good job.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really do.
I don't envy writing those long stories. Anyway, I'll get into the questions. I don't think I've talked to you like on our show since the coaching change. And I know
I don't think that's happened. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've had you on. So I have to ask this because what a phenomenal holiday season. What did you make of the Bronco, if you've ever seen Idiocracy, Brondo. What did you make of the Bronco Mendenhall situation and his departure? Were you shocked? I don't know, just your thoughts on everything.
Yeah, I'll kind of like address with the audience too. Like, I think a lot of people are really tired of hearing about it to a certain degree.
You're probably right.
Are really kind of focused on turning the page and all that. But look, it was something that there was a lot of smoke initially that we all kind of remember on social media, but a lot of that was initially kind of just people talking on Twitter. Pete Nakos was on 3, and I think I've mentioned his report a million times since then. He was really the first guy that kind of came out and reported with any substance whatsoever that he is trying to get his name in for the Utah State job. And of course, Van Tate asked the question about it during the final press conference he did here. I asked the question again, have you been contacted? And basically about 2 days later, less than 2 days later, it was more or less done. So I think it was shocking in some regard. You look back now and it doesn't feel all that shocking, which probably muddies the moment and how kind of crushing that was to UNM fans and who had invested into the program and felt all these good feelings about Bronco and all that too. But I'd certainly say it was shocking in the moment. But honestly, so much has happened since that it's kind of hard to really feel the exact same way I did then.
No, I appreciate that answer. My friends are UNM alumni, and some have lived and died harder with Lobo football at times than Lobo basketball, and the 4-letter words are being thrown around. So I appreciate that answer. I'm happy to flip the page because if you've listened to the show, I straight up said I thought it was a weird hire, and I know hindsight's 2020, and I can say that now. I just thought it was the most bizarre hire. I guess I don't know, but that's the end of that.
Yeah, and I'll also add, the night everything was kind of going down. I don't remember the exact date and all that too, but is when we had our story out, that we were able to confirm it that he would be going, and they had the initial announcement the next day. I tweeted out, and so whoever's listening to this, might remember the tweet. It's like, hey, I enjoyed covering Bronco. Wasn't always the easiest thing. Wish he showed his personality more, but really unique guy. I don't know how UNM fans will remember him. And that was me being far too naive, because I think we have a pretty clear picture of how UNM fans will remember Bronco. And I think we're going to see, when Utah State comes to town this fall, we're certainly going to see all that kind of, thrown back in that program's face.
I can't wait for the schedule to be announced, because that date's going to be circled. Moving and turning the page, I think, thankfully, and Sean, I do appreciate answering that question. The piece on Jason Eck, the new UNM head football coach, and I'm going to go to one of our comments. I know you can't see it. John Romero, Mr. Reider's feature article this past Sunday on Coach Eck was as good as it gets. Compliments to the chef, i.e. Reider. So once again, we've had a lot of people throwing it our way, and for somebody who was terrible at being a print journalist, I pick it up, and I don't know, man. I just thought it was a good piece, but that's enough of the blow in the smoke. What have you thought of Jason Eck right now? And simply put, I love the guy, but you're the beat reporter. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it was, and I don't mean to keep bringing him up, like Bronco, I wrote a really long feature about Bronco after he was hired, but that story, I knew I was going to write that exact story basically the day he was hired, maybe the day after. I kind of had that all in my head already. With Jason, I didn't really know, that story. I didn't really know how I was going to play that out. When I did have a sit down with him for we had done the introductory presser, and I talked to him one-on-one then a little bit, but I hadn't really, spent any time and kind of, had a long conversation with him. And I didn't really know exactly what I was going to write. But I think in a lot of ways, I think the thing that grabs you immediately, with Eck, and I think that's won a lot of fans over, is the personality. I think you've said it. I think a lot of other people have said it. I think we're all going to get tired of saying it to a certain point. But he very much is a guy that, fans do want to have a beer with and all that. It's a very welcoming personality, kind of confident in a lot of ways, which you see. Everybody's seen the dancing videos, after they beat Wyoming and all that too. But also, like the thing that kind of fascinated me about him and what kind of led me to write the story that I did end up writing was that, he was a guy that I don't want to say was, toiling in obscurity or anything like that, but he had this really long, not linear at all coaching career where he was at, 4 different schools in 4 years, 5 different schools in 5 years, worked for a ton of different head coaches. Not all of them, were, especially successful. Or they got into weird deals where the school kind of cut tenures short and all that too. And that just fascinated me in a lot of different respects. I think a place like UNM, a lot of people would probably be drawn to the guy who, is kind of the quick riser and all that. The guy that was a position coach for a little bit and then a coordinator, at a G5, and then a coordinator to P5. And then he got hired at, New Mexico and all that as the first-time head coach. And Jason, was a guy that, frankly admitted he didn't even know if he wanted to be a head coach until, basically like 2020. And then he started kind of thinking about it and all that too. And you also have all these guys that he had worked with throughout, who were like in 2015 or 2012. They're like, yeah, I knew he was going to be a head coach at some point. So just kind of exploring that journey was really interesting to me. And that's, something that's I've kind of taken away from that. And then in terms of the football too, I mean, I kind of said this on some other shows and all that too. I think, I don't know if a guy whose background coaching offensive line is like the sexiest thing to like a lot of people, as opposed to like, a high-powered offensive coordinator or a lockdown defensive coordinator or something like that. I do think it is, it's a good mold to hire from. If you've, been around football, you've been around college football, the offensive line guys are really important. I'm not just talking to players, I'm talking to coaches. Those guys are tone setters for the program, whatever program you're at, really. And to have a guy that was an awfully successful tone setter for a lot of different programs, a lot of different spots, I think that is something that should bode well. We'll see what happens in the fall, but yeah. Sorry for the long answer.
No, that's why I asked you to come on, and you know better than I do. That's what I was looking for. I'm flying solo tonight, so I'm doing the uhs and what the hell am I going to say tonight? So no, I appreciate that. No, I kind of, when I was jotting down reading your story again, and I was jotting down like things to ask you, I came up with this, and you can disagree with me. It almost feels like an American dream of a college football coaching story, or am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the American dream is like far more linear, right? Like, and it was
Right.
something that it was something that I was drawn to as well with his dad coaching and all that too. That guy Jay Eck, and for people who haven't read the story or don't know, background on Jason, Jason Eck's dad was the head basketball coach at Toledo and Wisconsin Stephen Point, which is an uber successful Division III program in Wisconsin. I believe Jay took over for Dick Bennett, pretty sure.
Wow.
And Jay, yeah, I mean, I'm noted in the story too. I mean, it was very cool going through Jay's career, frankly, because, Jay was an assistant at Pittsburgh and he recruited Jerome Lane, who gave us, for all of us that love college hoops, one of the great college hoops moments ever with the shattered backboard. So yeah, it was, but to kind of get back to the point, Jay, that was the guy he was a high school head coach at La Crosse Aquinas High School. And, within 10 years, he was the head coach at Toledo. And then, he ended up getting let go at Toledo. But, Jason just didn't have that linear rise and all that, too. So I think you could probably say both are kind of the American dream elements, too. But I don't know. I mean, coaching to a wild path, and it takes you unexpected places in that way.
Yeah, no, that was fascinating. They lost the 1991 or 1992 MAC championship to by
a really good Eastern Michigan team. Yeah, that's another thing too. Another side note as well. I did not expect to UNM to hire a coach where I was looking up like 90s MAC basketball tournaments, which is like perfect for me because that was when the MAC was a great league. It's not anymore, unfortunately, but
13-3 overall. Lorenzo Neely, Charles Thomas, Carl. I was just marking to see if I could find somebody that maybe I knew. I thought one of the good, one of the things that you wrote and maybe that X said was, how could he make a difference in or at coaching? And obviously he did at Idaho. I mean, he didn't give up at coaching, and that's kind of where I was going with this question. I think that's like I didn't like what I typed out, but what I was trying to say is I find that fascinating more than like, hey, I just want to win games or mold men. He said, I actually want to make a difference. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You don't normally hear that. I thought that was different, and I appreciated that. If that question made sense.
Yeah, that's one thing that struck me when I talked to him too. It wasn't like a casual air or anything like that, but like, and these aren't negative comparisons, but you go back to Danny Gonzalez. Danny talked a lot about how he liked to he hated to lose more than he liked to win and all that too. And that was kind of the reality of it. And then Bronco was obviously, the results were expected, but like his very much, he did not shy away from, he wanted to mold men and all that. And I think with Jason, you have a real mix of yeah, I want to make a difference in other people's lives, and the game is amazing. It's a great resource to do that. But yeah, I love football. I want to be around football. I want to win games. I want guys to have fun. I think more than any other, head coach, and then maybe not more than any other head coach I've been around and I've covered, I should say. He's really emphasized, like, yeah, I do want like guys in my program to have fun and all that. And like, they got to take care of the right things at the right times and all that, and that's when you get into the, more standard kind of coaching talk and all that too. But he's really made a point to do that. And I think a lot of that, kind of showed out at Idaho in a lot of different regards too. It kind of left a lot of stuff for that story on the cutting room floor, in terms of also just like how he's carried himself. Like Jake Dickert, the head coach at Wake Forest right now, and then he was the head coach of Washington State last year when UNM beat him. I mean, frankly, he had some stories that were really tough to leave on the cutting room floor in terms of just working with Jason at Minnesota State Mankato and South Dakota State, where he's just like, yeah, he just always brought that fun-loving kind of O-line energy. Whereas Dickert, he kind of felt he's a little more tightly wrapped. Eck would just be out there just kind of operating in controlled chaos.
Very good answer. And I am going to change subjects very quickly because I had the over in the Wisconsin game, and I know you're a Big Ten guy, whether you're watching or not. They can just score.
Yeah, what's going on in that game, by the way? Do you have a score?
If it's final, it's 95-74, just because I don't know where the hell the Wisconsin offense came from. That's my point, because
they've been on a heater. They've been playing a really good ball. In Illinois, I mean, no Morris Johnson. They're a little bit rudderless right now. It's not good, but yeah.
They're no Wisconsin. It's February, and I'm sure you get it all the time. It's January, February, then Izzo. So I love Tom Izzo. I really do. I'm not just saying that because you're on the show. I think because he gets a lot of shit. Yeah, I don't know.
You got a big one tonight.
Yeah, I know. I had it on. I think I don't know what happened. Michigan State basketball.
Couple kill shots in the second half, and just great defense.
I saw that score. How did I forget that? Yeah, they beat Purdue. I don't know. Purdue's offense kind of sucks.
Sorry to everybody listening to this, by the way. We can get back to
we'll get back to that's totally my fault. I figured I could drop in the Wisconsin reference and that I had the over in that game. Switching gear, and Sean, I'm going to tell you again, I for somebody who's been around the program on and off, I am, and I'm not around it as much as I was, and I'm not around as much as you are. I had a pretty good 3-year run there, I guess. I don't know, whatever, and I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. I don't know how else to describe it. I just feel like there's an aura, or like just a feeling. And I know you look at the schedule last year, and I'm not going to get into that on February 18th. That's when I harass you to come on our show in Vegas in July, I'll ask you the schedule question. But I don't know, man. There seems to be a more sense of enthusiasm too. I don't know. I can't pinpoint on it, and I don't want to use just those generic adjectives of excitement and enthusiasm, but that's what I feel with X.
Yeah, and I think there is justified enthusiasm for sure. I do think there is an element of, Bronco kind of dumped the program, and it was a bit acrimonious, as we all remember, and we just talked about a little bit ago too. And I do think Eck is kind of a guy that I think you could have put a lot of guys in, and hired as the head coach of New Mexico, and a lot of fans would have. I'm not criticizing the fans. You guys do what you want. I mean, that's it. But I mean, it literally is. You could put a lot of guys in, and I think a lot of people would have backed him no matter what, just because of how acrimonious the ending to the Bronco era was, and all that. And I think we've seen that with other programs, other coaching changes, and all that too. But I think Eck has said a lot of the right things and made a lot of the right moves so far in terms of how he carries himself in the community. I think Bronco only ever went to one basketball game, I think. And I think it was just the one where he got introduced to. I think I have to count now on two hands for how many games Eck has been to. I think fans love that. It's clear that he likes that. He really enjoys it. He thinks it's a great resource for recruiting and all that. I think that's kind of seeing those results so far too, at least with some of the portal halls, I should say. And I think it is also, yeah, I mean, we'll get some more details on, UNM landing a commitment from Scott Trey Humphrey, the Montana State running back. That was excellent when he, played UNM at University Stadium last year, and he's excellent all throughout all of last season for Montana State. Got FCS All-American honors. But yeah, I think a guy like that, stepping up and getting him over the likes of Ole Miss and North Carolina with Billy B at the helm, obviously West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Yeah, it's a good get. And that's pretty impressive. That I think we've heard a lot of people, around the program or not really around the program, kind of previously tout some supposed big recruiting wins through the portal and all that too. That one's just a clear cut. Yeah, it's a big time win, and you don't have to sugarcoat it at all. You don't have to build it up. That's a really good get. So to step up and kind of take those builds and build the running back room that he has in particular. Bring over guys that were impact players at Idaho. Keyshawn James Newby, him getting that extra year of eligibility through kind of the Pavia ruling. That's a big deal. Jack Lane, kind of the trigger man for this offense at quarterback. I'm curious to see, him this spring. But a lot of the things I've seen on tape so far have been pretty encouraging. If you are a fan, and then there's there's kind of some unknowns in the portal class too. But it feels like there is being a pretty solid foundation laid right now. It's not all going to be portal guys for as long as Eck is here. He has said he wants to lean more on high school recruiting. But I think I don't know if it's the perfect class or anything like that, but I think it is warranted to kind of justify enthusiasm.
Well, you stole thunder from my next two questions. I mean, it's been touted of I overheard Jeff say at Symbieta, and they mentioned it, Jeff and JJ mentioned it on their show, that it's kind of an FCS all-star team. What's your assumption of that? And you didn't even mention, I almost called him Jackson Eck. Just the way he spells it, I don't know why I want to say that, but it's been touted as an FCS all-star team, and I didn't mention his son to you. I asked Dimitri, but I mean, I didn't even mention his name. And then there's the Kansas State transfer. I know his numbers don't jump off, but it's Keegan Johnson. I don't know, 6 foot, 206. He's a senior.
He was freaky. He was pretty freaky in his freshman year at Iowa. I remember. I didn't watch a ton of Kansas State last year, enough for me to really get a great feel for him. But he was good in his freshman year at Iowa. I do remember that.
That's good to hear. I don't know any other guys that have jumped off the list, or are there any guys that you're shocked that are stayed? I don't know. Break that down.
Yeah, well, you just had a guy on that I think it's kind of big that he's got they got him coming back. Dimitri Johnson, with kind of the Pavia rule and all that too. We need a better term than the Pavia rule at this point. Pavia waiver or something like that. Yeah, I think that's really big because now you're bringing back Dimitri Johnson, Randolph Kapai. Both those guys who played a ton of snaps, linebacker last year, losing Jaden Wilson at UTEP. So it's not, you're not getting, all of the contributors back at linebacker, but, you got Jackson Eck, Randolph Kapai, and Dimitri Johnson. That's a nice little linebacker room brewing. Mahalo Centurineos will also be coming back as well, too. His season was cut short of injury last year too. I was thinking about this earlier today too. I did touch base with offensive coordinator Luke Schleissner, for a story that I'm probably going to put out this weekend. And he said he thought, on the note of the FCS All-American, All-Star team or whatever, he said he thought, coaching the Big Sky, which is basically, you can argue one or two with the Missouri Valley Football Conference as kind of the big two conferences in FCS football. He said he thought that they got all three of the best Big Sky running backs last season and brought them to Mexico. So Scott Trey Humphrey, Montana State, Damone Bankston, Weber State, and then Deshaun Buchanan, who was at Idaho last season. Both, Bankston and Humphrey's numbers, they pop a lot more. Buchanan's don't, but he was the leading rusher. Honestly, I think his tape pop's a good deal too. And DJ McKinney, who is a Conference USA, freshman of the year. But back to the FCS stuff. Yeah, so back to the FCS guys in that regard too. I mean, I think it is I think I have seen a little bit of questioning of it, like on social media and all that too, in regards to, I mean, like, oh, New Mexico fans are amped up about, FCS guys, but, it's something I, kind of talked about with Jason to a certain degree. And I'm not saying this because I cover the program. I'm saying this because I feel this way as somebody that watches a good deal of football. It's not like the worst player in FCS is better than the best player in FCS. There's really good guys in the FCS that probably should be playing at FBS schools and probably should be contributing at FBS schools and playing big time roles, but because of where they grew up, or more rural part of the country, or a really oversaturated part of the country where in one you might be a 4-star somewhere, but or 3-star, but you're kind of a 2-star kind of skating by or whatever, not really getting a lot of interest. They had to take that FCS offer, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but yeah, I think just the program under Eck and the staff under Eck having all the knowledge of these FCS guys, it doesn't make it surprising that they would be trying to build this way. And I do think it is a little bit more of a savvy move instead of trying to pick apart down transfers, I should say, coming down from the P4 ranks. And trying to build something there that could be a little bit messy. We've seen down transfers work for sure. Eli Sanders and Javen Jacobs, those guys coming, those names coming in particular. But, we've seen others that, frankly haven't worked. So, yeah, to kind of wrap it up there, I do think the FCS building is a pretty savvy move at this point. But, hey, we play the games for a reason. We'll see how it all plays out.
No, that's very true. I don't want to keep you much longer, but I think one of the most, you're from the Midwest. I've got my East, you give me shit for, I got the New Jersey roots. I just kind of like cracked up when, I understand the enthusiasm because somebody had told me that, basically he did less with more at Idaho. And he's like, I love our facilities and I can get direct flights from, Albuquerque to like Seattle. And I was like, yeah, but you're from the Midwest. I don't know when X said that. And I'm not knocking the guy. I just thought it was funny that he said that. And I don't know what you made of that, cause I'm not trying to knock, UNM's facilities. But I don't know. That caught me off guard. Maybe that's me being the negative Nancy, but, I just thought it was kind of funny, that he said that.
I do I will say, as a guy that lives like 7 minutes, like a 7-minute drive from the airport, and like is a big time Albuquerque Sunport appreciator, like actually it's pretty convenient for me, and for travel, for work, and all that too. I will say, as a guy who appreciates the Sunport, I do appreciate, I do think it's a little funny the amount of times Jason has mentioned the airport in multiple public settings. Which I think Sunport has got to be jazzed up about that in particular. But yeah, it makes sense. You need to get recruits in, and I know it's a heck of a lot easier than, getting recruits in from Musco, Pullman Regional Airport or whatever they were working with before and all that too. And on the note of a guy that, kind of doing less is more, I remember, talking to him after the, his introductory presser, and, he said, he was talking to a player at some point, back at Idaho and all that as well. And, the player was complaining about one thing or whatever. And he's like, I know, Notre Dame doesn't have, Notre Dame has this and we don't. And Eck looked at at the player and was like, well, Brian Kelly makes this and I don't. Which I think is, yeah, I think that's definitely something I think would, come out of his personality, all that too. But, yeah, and I think it's got to be refreshing for UNM fans in particular to, see guys like Eck and Schleister and all that be like, yeah, these facilities are great. These are lovely.
Yeah, no.
And we'll definitely work with them.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. And I thought about it. I was like, it's got to be enthusiasm because, you look at it, you went from making $200,000 a year to 1.2. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And I think
not to cut you.
Go ahead.
There's a reason why it was one of the it might have been the Lewiston Tribune or the Spokesman Review, why their headline on Eck leaving for New Mexico was Jason Eck takes New Mexico job, becomes millionaire. There's a reason, you emphasize that because it's became a millionaire.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. I think with this, and in the airport, I can't believe we're having this conversation from Big Ten basketball to Jason Eck, and then to the airport. I mean, I live off right, I live right off the highway. It's easy for me to get there. It's super. Somebody was complaining about the traffic to the game the other day, and I was like, well, you should try to go to Newark Airport, or why don't you go to why don't you go to like and I was using it to my personal experiences, like go to a Jets and Giants game, because the game's over at 4:30 and you're home at like 8. So 15-20 minutes in and out of there. But it's so convenient to get to. I'm going to shut up because I'm rambling on that. Lastly, joined by Sean Reider, the Albuquerque Journal. At least for the moment, you have well, you know what? I'm going to ask you one more question. What have you thought of Fernando Lovo?
Yeah, I think he's I think he's brought a good deal to the job. I think certainly, like, I think it's really fair to objectively say, like, it was a question, like, okay, congrats, like, welcome to New Mexico and all that too. Like, now you got to find us a football coach. And I think if you were a fan feeling a little angsty about that, I get why you were feeling angsty. But I mean, you can say he the Eck hire was a great hire. I mean, we'll see how that plays out on field and all that too. I don't say that to, like, doubt anything there, or cast doubt. It's more just like, that's just the way it is. Wins matter, success matters, and all that, especially right now for New Mexico. But yeah, I think he's said a lot of the right things, and he's followed up pretty well. And he's been active in the community. So yeah, I mean, that's really all I can say. I think athletic directors are a bit different than football coaches, where a football coach you kind of evaluate on a season-to-season basis. Athletic directors, to me, I think, I'm not saying the jury is still quite out. He's definitely made some big moves so far, but I think you still need a larger sample size to really kind of sit back and evaluate what Lovo's done so far.
No, appreciate that answer. And then what I was going to ask before I thought of that, at least for the time being, you have the three personalities of Richard Pitino, Jason Eck, and then Kurt Roth, which I just thought of about now, which is pretty amazing, working together.
No, I mean it. Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I think you have two coaches that really don't worry or don't try to hide their personalities or anything like that. Do have an element of self-deprecation to them, and also hey, we really want to win this game. And I think that's something for fans to enjoy. And then obviously, Kurt is Kurt. We all know Kurt.
He's the man. Sean Reider of the Albuquerque Journal. Sean, on Last Minute. I think I probably always say that every time. I appreciate your time, man. I will let you go.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon later. Everybody, that was Sean Reider from the Albuquerque Journal. I really, really appreciated that interview and him jumping off. Let me remove him there. Let me do that. And then I don't like my big fat head on the screen when I'm by myself. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to come back for like another 10 minutes and wrap this thing up. But appreciate Dimitri Johnson. Frank, if you're watching, Frank Mercagano, thank you for getting us Dimitri Johnson. Finally got a football player on. Probably been bugging him since Las Vegas in July. So much appreciated. Come back real quick. This is the Pit Press Live. I am Ryan Tamori. Oh, that was just the Latimer scream. Let me do that. Appreciate Dimitri Johnson. Appreciate Sean Reider. And as I do that, as I thank Sean on air, I'm going to thank him on a text. Don't care who's watching. Thank you. Trying to fantastic live show there. I'm amped for football. I saw in the comments, Greg Lujan, is there a player you guys are most excited to see on the field next year from the transfers? I mean, Scottre Humphrey, guys I've already named. I want to see what happens in spring ball. I mean, it's Scottre Humphrey. I saw him at Montana State. I love the FCS playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch FCS. I'm too busy watching the FBS. I do like when I see, North Dakota State, or South Dakota State, North Dakota State. I love seeing Montana State. When they play each other, I think that is awesome. I just like those rivalry games, and I still, with all the conference realignment, some of it's still there. I miss Bedlam. I'm looking forward to Jackson Eck, Keegan Johnson, Scottre Humphrey. Those are going to be, I think, the three. And the freshman from Conference USA, his name's escaping me, but yeah, I'm looking forward to those guys. When I saw Scottre Humphrey, and Sean mentioned it, the schools that he had gotten offers from, I mean, I don't know, Montana State was probably like an 8-4 win team in FBS. I mean, they already beat, New Mexico. I don't know. I just think there's new more enthusiasm about it. And again, let me bring this up. The spring practices, they're all open to the public. And again, it's 15 of them, if my math is right. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 15. And then April 18th, I don't have a time there, obviously. Is the spring game on a Friday night, which I think is a pretty damn good idea. I also got to give kudos to New Mexico State for doing it at the Bulldog Bowl, I think, is where they're doing it. Or am I making that up? I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. They're doing it at a high school stadium. I forgot where. But yeah, I think that I told Sean this. I can't pinpoint what word it is with Jason Eck. I don't know. I'm just excited. I know that's kind of bad to say. It's not good way to describe it. I just think everything we've seen with Lobo football. I thought Danny should have gotten another year. I've come on the show many times saying I thought Bronco, after the fact, Bronco was just a weird hire. And the golly gosh. Jason Eck, I think, does the coach speak right. And some of it's kind of shooting it straight, which I like. But I think we're kind of over the Bronco Mendenhall talk. I think it's gotten worn out. Some scores around the league in the Mountain West tonight, college basketball. Wyoming came back and beat Air Force by 7. I had them 8.5. Air Force remains winless in the Mountain West Conference. 3-23, 0-15. Poor Joe Scott. Wyoming 12-15, 5-11. 69-62 win at Arena Auditorium. Colorado State beat Nevada. Colorado State quiet 11-4, I think. But all the talk here is UNM. They beat Nevada tonight 79-71. Nevada moves to 7-8 in the conference. Coming up in right now, Fresno State, who has won a game in the Mountain West, they're 1-14. I didn't realize that. 5-21 overall. They are in San Diego. Take on the Aztecs, San Diego State. 10-4 too. So they win 11-4. The Wool Bowl. Thank you very much. And MSU at the Wool Bowl in Roswell. A little off topic. Did you see Gloria's interview on the Monty Show? I'm going to be very honest, and this is crazy, Greg. I don't know what the Monty Show is, but it popped up on my YouTube algorithm. And I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I watch a lot of history videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of sports history on YouTube. I listen to ASMR to calm me down. None of that crazy sexual stuff. I know I can't believe I'm saying that. It just calms me down. I have anxiety, and I found that it works. And then my child looks at everything crazy on my YouTube account. So I log in, and I've got Poppy's Playtime and everything on the Hulk and Ghostbusters, which I'm okay with. So my algorithm, moral of that long story, is rather insane. And somehow that popped up. I saw it. I didn't watch it though. I need to check that out. I don't know, Greg, if you can, what specific, I think it had to do with Pac-12 talks and merger. I might have to listen to it tonight. I'm trying to write more. I've said that a zillion times. I'm trying to get something out for Boise State tomorrow. So, thinking about that, I need to listen to it. And I'll be honest with our listeners, I'm more of the history guy. You listen to Rick. Eric loves analytics and like the business side of it. I think Ed is Ed. Nick's great. Nick's a lawyer, so he more so than I just like investigates everything. He researches. He's damn good at it. And Rick played ball. Rick knows his stuff. I know Jacob hasn't joined us in a while, but he's got the Vegas gambling roots. And if you need to know something about a baseball prospect or a college basketball player, Jacob is your guy. I've said that a million times, but I don't know where I was going with that. So that is a bad ramble. Turn into BJ Rains from last night and rambling. Tomorrow night, though, going to bring that up again. Just to give it its proper due. Change the graphics on the back. Tomorrow night, Boise State, UNM. They got shellacked. Boise State got shellacked at the Pit in January. I mean, it's a tough 2-game stretch. If you want to go back, you can find us on Twitter and YouTube. We had BJ Rains on last night, although I played a clip from SNL 50, so I think we got blocked on YouTube because I was talking about how great I thought Eddie Murphy was with his portrayal of Tracy Morgan, with Tracy Morgan right next to him playing another character on Black Jeopardy. Showtime at the Apollo. I can't do it. Boise State's favored. BJ Rains said he wasn't sure why. But yeah, you can check out that video on YouTube if somehow it gets put back up, or go to Twitter on our Twitter page at the Pit Press. No show tomorrow night. Obviously, I wanted to bring you a show on Sunday after that game. I thought it was pretty big deal, newsworthy. I don't know. It's what I went to college for. And appreciate George Scott joining us, BJ Rains. But tonight, Dimitri Johnson and Sean Reider of the Journal. Always love talking to Sean. It's a fantastic conversation. I don't know if anybody has any other comments. John, appreciate that. Yeah, NMSU at the Wool Ball. I don't know. I already said that. I'm going to put that in my head. Looking forward to the game tomorrow night. Again, I'm trying to get out a little bit of a preview on Boise State. I'll try to write a recap. I've said that a lot. I get tired. But yeah, hey, I got to throw this out there. It's 3 days running. Sometimes this isn't the easiest work. We don't get paid to do this. I appreciate all the guys on the show. I'm saying that on record now. It's time consuming. And, I read a lot of the comments on Twitter that, somebody said I wasn't prepared. I know. I'm trying to do a better job of that. I'm trying to watch my attitude. Because really many things don't bother me other than maybe talking sports and cursing. I think I let the S word slip tonight, but we've had a lot of people and a lot of views the last 3 days, and I get that probably helps with what the UNM men's basketball team has done. And I never in my wildest dreams, when Eric approached me with this idea at the very end of 2022, where we would be right now as I jokingly called it a rinky-dink podcast. But I absolutely am happy with the fact with where we've grown. The listenership, the commenters, I really do appreciate it. I feel like, and this isn't a knock, that Jeff Grammer is probably the king of sports in this town right now. He's got a phenomenal Twitter following. Eric and I, and it was Eric's word, and I've said it on this show many a time, that it probably Lobo fans were starving for more content. Look, I'm going to throw this out there. Van Tate and Jared Chester, Brad Benson, those guys, I've known Van forever. Jared's my guy. Lee Faria, all the years I ran by him and I finally talked to him. Jeff and JJ and Adam Deal. I'm going to give Adam Deal a shout out, and Joe Neal at ESPN. Not trying to rival with it. We just felt that Lobo fans were starving for more content. And that was the original idea of it. My background's journalism, Eric's is marketing. I know you've heard this song and dance before, but I'm saying this, and this ramble and rant is the viewership and the views and the likes that we've gotten since Sunday, and then the work that Rick and Eric and Ed and Nick have done. It's not always the easiest. Again, this is not our full-time gig. I was trying to treat it as is while being a top performer in the sales job, and doing pretty darn good at it. And I'm not arrogant or egotistical, but with that long-winded rant, we are nothing. And I'm saying this now because of where Lobo basketball is right now and where it might take us over the next 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. That I couldn't fathom the viewership and the likes, and the interaction from you, the viewer, and from you, the listener. So I really, truly mean it. Thank you. Even if you disagree with me, I'm just devil's advocate in just about everything, and I question everything. And the guys on the show, I have appreciated them. Eric came to me first, then I went to Ed, then Nick, I think, and then Jacob, and then Rick. And I didn't thank George Scott and Phil McDonald, who have joined. I got to hit up Phil again. Ben Weissong, for the guys that have joined us. So I know that's heartfelt, but I'm choosing to do this now, and I'm trying to wrap this up because I am getting tired and I would like to write something. I appreciate the guys on this show, and I appreciate you, the listener and the viewer. I really mean that. It's kind of been awesome. I wouldn't lie and say that I lost some enthusiasm for it, but I'm back, and I'm trying to do a better job of hosting this show now, and just not hosting it, being a part of it. I've always been very grateful for the guests. And I will give a special thanks to Frank Mercogliano, who I've known many years now, and I've given a hard time. But I'm looking forward to covering football and appreciate it. And I've appreciated Steve Kirkland. So throwing that out there. I hope that everybody has a good evening. I hope that you enjoy the Boise State game tomorrow night. We will most likely be back Thursday to recap the Boise State game. Ed and I have Marvin Johnson most likely on Friday with the show, and then I'm going to try to effort the book. Hold on. Because I had his business card right here. Andrew Miller, sportsbook manager at Sandia Resort and Casino. I ran into him at the Air Force game, at away game. And there's a very funny story to that because I was trying to make a bet on the Super Bowl. So might effort him, and then also met a gentleman with the Ice Wolves. We want to focus on UNM. And I don't think Forrest Stulting's watching, the media manager at the Isotopes. I'm going to bug you, man, just for a little bit of Isotopes talk, and maybe what you can expect from the Rockies this year. But anyway, I wanted to thank everyone. Thank you to Dimitri Johnson, super senior linebacker, for joining the show at the 8 o'clock hour. Sean Reider of the Albuquerque Journal. Everybody I'm doing this twice. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy the Boise State game. We'll be back Thursday. Don't do anything that I would do. Talk to you later.